is Jen and welcome to this week's Stress Management Workshop on behalf of Leeds Beckett University. Last week I actually held a Are You Stressed type assessment in last week's workshop. If you are wanting to go back and check where you are with your stress levels, as I know it's a very trying time, then feel free to head over to the link. It's bit.ly/Are You Stressed Beckett. So I'll spell that out for you. It's bit for bit.ly as in ly/Are You Stressed Beckett. And also Beckett University will also have a place on their website if you go for the if you punch in Leeds Beckett Fitness. Hang on, let me just double check. If you look for Leeds Beckett Fitness, I was right. They will also have a series of recordings that we've done throughout the week. So welcome, thanks ever so much for joining. I'm just going to go through a few things just to set your expectations from the get-go so you know exactly what to prepare yourself for today. Just want to make sure that you can hear me, and if you can't then maybe just raise your hand and I'll just double check the sound, but we should be okay. And also that you have a cup of tea or a glass of water and that you also have a pen and paper handy, as it's going to be a very instructional type workshop. So I want you to gain as much as you can from this today. So yeah, basically I'll just touch over last week with the Are You Stressed assessment. So we went through 25 questions and it is a very challenging time for all, and I didn't want to alarm anyone. However, there were 3 possible categories you could have slided in. So anything 4 points or less, if you answered 4 yeses or 4 questions or less, that would have told me and yourself that actually right now in the current situation that we're going through with the coronavirus, you're not doing too bad at all. In fact, it's not even touching the sides. You are dealing and managing with your stress and your anxiety very, very well. I mean, it's going to impact all of us on some sort of level, because it is just an alarming type situation for most when it comes to areas of your life. But if you are 4 points or less, then great. If you were scoring in the category of 5 points and 13 points, this would have suggested to you that you are needing to become more aware of what you're doing right now, because you're actually taking on a lot at the moment. You're not maybe checking of yourself as much. Your stress levels are maybe getting a little bit too high, because the thing is with stress is if you leave stress unchecked and you actually carry on your life with stress in the body, then you actually are possibly ignoring all the warning signs and the signals that your body's trying to warn you against, because stress is an absolute normal response to stressful situations. However, for us to be stressed all the time, that's when it can lead to problems, and I'll go into the reasons why a bit further on into the workshop. But yeah, if you score in that bracket, it's actually time to start making change, and anywhere over 14 points plus in the Are You Stressed assessment, then it's definitely time for you right now to make change in your life. And we went through 4 natural resources that helps you alleviate your stress levels. And they were cardio, strength, balance, and good nutrition. We'll talk about this more later on in today's workshop, but Beckett University and their fitness schedule, they cater for all of these types of resources. So again, more about that later on in the workshop, but for now it's just good to know where you are. And again, if you haven't actually gone through the assessment and you'd like to know where you are with your stress levels, then go to bit.ly/Are You Stressed Beckett. Okay, so what's in it for you? So for today's workshop, I'm going to take you through a tool. It's very useful. Some of you might have even heard of this tool before. You might have even used it. If you've been coached before or had some therapy, or you're into like self-development, it's a very tried and tested tool, but I'm going to put a little bit of a spin onto this one today. So again, that's why I want you to be with a pen and paper, and I want it to be interactive, and it's something for you to refer to later on once we pass this epidemic. So yeah, and I want you to basically take as much as you can from this, and if you've got any questions at the end, then feel free to jump in and I'll start answering them for you. So who is this for? I could just say everyone, because everyone's in the same boat right now. Everyone is experiencing this whole crisis together, and it's a very stressful situation. People do perceive stress in different ways. You may not even think that you're stressed out. And again, it's just good to check in with yourself and answer an assessment like, are you stressed, assessment like we did last week, just to make sure that you're not in denial, because it's inevitable. We're going to be touched by this in some form, whether it's on a subtle level or a really big level. So it can actually manifest in fear, this type of situation that we're in. So that could be like outright panic, you're struggling to adapt to change, you're feeling quite doubtful at the moment, you're very sort of confused about your future, and you are maybe possibly even experiencing anxiety for the first time in your life. So it is definitely a situation for us to discuss, to talk about, and definitely become aware of. So who am I? I haven't actually introduced myself as yet, but hi, my name is Jen, and I am a spin instructor for Leeds Beckett University. I spin on Mondays and Thursdays at 5:15 till 6 o'clock. I really, really miss my spin. It definitely is my saviour for a lot of things. It's my stress release. I call it my legal high, in all fairness, but obviously I cannot do any spin classes at the moment. I am taking up running. I've done about 6 runs now. Not really my cup of tea, but you've got to do what you've got to do. But yeah, I usually am a spin instructor, so Mondays and Thursdays at 5:15. And I am now an online business coach, but basically, why am I qualified possibly to be talking to you about stress? So a little bit about me, just to give you some context and about my story. But back in 2012 was when my business venture started, and I was an expat in Shanghai. And hi Pippa, how are you? And I set up and run the first ever dedicated spin studio in all of Asia at that time. And it was absolutely amazing, and it was a fantastic experience. And one led to two. And to cut a very long story short, I ended up running 4 indoor cycling studios, so 2 out in Shanghai, China, and 2 here in the UK in Leeds. But things had to change because my health, unfortunately, really did take a bad turn, because I was experiencing a lot of stress, and my stress came from business burnout. And at the time when the stress was really at its peak, I was out in China, and even though I had insurance and the rest of it, and I was seeing professionals out there, they didn't quite understand what was really going on with me. And I led this lifestyle of working, and really sort of burning myself out and hitting like depression basically. And I was in bed for days, and then I would come out of that dip and go back into my lifestyle again and work, basically to try and keep the businesses rolling. And they were an absolute awesome success, but behind the scenes my health is really taking a huge hit with all the responsibility I felt I had at the time. So again, I cut a long story short as well, when my little boy Oscar came on the scene in 2015, I basically changed all my life, because the stress just got too much and I had to make change. And it was my time for change, and it was quite a difficult situation. But I didn't take any tablets. I'm not against anyone taking tablets. However, I really do believe in these 4 natural resources that we'll talk about later. So that's a cardio, strength, balance, and nutrition, and that basically got me out of my real stressful situation I was experiencing at that time. So that's enough about me, and should we just talk about stress and what actually is, because obviously we're here talking about it. And if you were on last week's workshop, I'm just going to be repeating myself and put my neuroscience hat on again, but basically the amygdala is the fear response mechanism in our brain, and when we're stressed, the amygdala kicks in but actually shuts down the motor cortex, which is our ability to take action. So we either freeze, fight, or run away. So that fight or flight type reaction. And it's everyone's natural response to a stressful situation. But what people tend to not realise is that you can actually get quite addicted to the chemicals that are released in the brain. So, for example, you might be finding yourself just always watching the news at the moment, or it could be that you're always trying to read like the latest information on our pandemic, or you could be just always sucked in to listen to people's stories. And you know what I mean. We've all been there when it comes to going through this crisis together. So that's pretty much what I want you to avoid. And if we can use these natural resources as well, we can safeguard you from actually experiencing severe stress. So if you want to grab your pen and paper, we're just going to go through the little tool that I have for everyone today. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw 3 circles. So here we are. I would recommend like an A4 sheet of paper, but if you haven't got A4, that's fine. But basically 3 circles. And I want you to write past by circle 1, so the past, basically before the coronavirus, the present, so where you find yourself right now in the present moment with the coronavirus, and the future, so we're looking ahead, and that's what your 3 circles represent. So past, present, and future, if you can actually see that. And then what I want you to do is carve out 12 sections of each circle. So it's always good to maybe do a cross and then do another cross the other side, and then actually draw 4 lines, or however way you want to do it. I've actually got another example, because what we're drawing here is actually known as the wheel of life. So it's us analysing the here and now, and you've actually got 12 sections that we're going to be talking about today. So once you've got your 3 circles and your 12 sections, together we're actually going to talk about them, but let's just give each section a heading. So we're going to write down 12 headings, and these are the perceived sort of areas of your life that everyone's got, like the main areas of your life basically. So number 1, if you write down number 1, your first section is your physical environment, and what we're going to do, we'll go into detail with each one as we go through. So physical environment is number 1. And number 2, section number 2 is money, so your financials. And number 3 is health. Number 4 would be your family and friends. Number 5 is romance and relationships. Number 6 is personal growth. Number 7, career and work. Number 8, fun and recreation. Now, if you're big into personal development and you've heard of the Wheel of Life before, usually it has 8 main sections, but I've actually added on those 4 natural resources that I spoke about last week and that I want to address here today. And it's what Beckett University also caters very well for as well. So number 9 is cardio. Number 10 is strength. Number 11 is balance. And number 12 is good nutrition. So I'm just going to go through all those again briefly, and then we'll go into detail, and then you can actually fill out and score what you feel you were, you are, and what you hope to be in the future. So 1, physical environment. 2, money. 3, health. 4, family and friends. 5, romance and relationships. 6, personal growth. 7, career and work. Fun and recreation is number 8. And then it's 9, cardio. Number 10, strength. Number 11, balance. And number 12 is good nutrition. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out together your past and your present wheel of life. So we're going to basically rate where we were before the pandemic, where we feel we are now with all the change. And you can fill this out if you want to, maybe, forecast your future, but I always suggest actually do it in the future. So maybe a couple of weeks after we're all given the green light to lead our lives how we used to before the pandemic broke out, the virus broke out. So yeah, leave the third one blank, but for now we're going to fill out the past and the present together. So I want you to rate out of 10 where you are in your physical health, your physical environment. So out of 10, so 1 being really, really poor, like you're just not happy at all and you need to make change. And number 10 being brilliant. So physical environment is your home. How happy is your home, or was your home? If we do the past and then make a marker into the present one as well. So 2 numbers here. Where were you in your physical environment out of 10 in your first wheel of life, and where do you feel you are now? Has it dropped out of 10? Has it increased? Where do you feel? So you're going to have 2 numbers next to your first section out of 10. Okay, so section number 2 is money. So where were you with your finances before the crisis? Were you absolutely nailing it with your finances? Were you where you want to be financially? And where do you feel you are now? So give yourself a number out of 10 on your past, in your past and your present circle. And you probably start noticing some big changes in numbers from your past wheel of life to your present. So your third one is your overall health. So where do you feel you were before everything came to a halt when it came to the coronavirus, and where do you feel you are now with your health? Have you noticed a drop? Has it got better? Where do you feel you are in your past and your present? Family and friends. I mean, we all lead busy lives, but were you just so busy before the crisis that you were just absolutely snowed under and you could never see your mum for a Sunday roast, or you couldn't see your nan as much as what you would? But now, obviously we can't physically see people, but now you feel you can just pick up the phone, you've got more time for your friends and family. Like, what is the difference there? So if you can rate out of 10, section number 4 in your 2 circles, your family and friends area of your life. Number 5, section 5 is romance and relationships. Now, we've all heard stories since the outbreak, especially if you're single. It's been a testing time for a lot of, the singles out there. And so where were you before, in the past, before the coronavirus, and where do you feel you are now? It might be that you've had to move in a boyfriend or girlfriend, or it might be that you're now doing long distance for the first time, or it feels like long distance without being able to see each other. But where do you feel you are in that area of your life? Okay, so section 6 is personal growth. Some people are really into personal development and other people haven't quite heard of the term. I'm a massive fan, and actually stress taught me so much, and that's when I really started to get into personal development. So where do you feel in your personal growth? Did you, before the pandemic, had no time for yourself and you felt so sort of busy and tired with your lifestyle that there was no time for yourself to grow in certain areas that you've always wanted to? And do you feel now it's either, increased because now you've got the time to pick up books and, work on your mindset, or do things that you've been putting off or you've been too busy to do? So give yourself your 2 marks out of 10 in your past and your present. 7, career and work. This is a massive, massive chunk in your life for most people. Has it improved, since the pandemic? Have you got to know your colleagues more because of this crisis? Have you really struggled working from home because you've got kids to look after? Have you unfortunately lost your job? that people, yeah, are just struggling, obviously, for obvious reasons, and it's quite a tough, topic to talk about. But where do you rate yourself before and your current situation when it comes to your career and work? Okay, so fun and recreation is the eighth one. How much time was you putting aside for you to be, having a laugh? Was you really going out and enjoying yourself, whatever that might be, going out clubbing or walking or holidaying or whatever it is that you perceive as fun? Were you really taking time out to just really love, enjoy and love life? Where were you before the pandemic? Where are you now? Is there a difference in, some people love watching Netflix. I must admit, I didn't have hardly any time for Netflix, and now I'm really enjoying the fact that I've got spare time. So yeah, I'm not doing too bad on an evening at the weekend watching a bit of Netflix. Bit of a novelty for me. Okay, so 9, 10, 11 and 12. So 9 is cardio. So we spoke about this last week in quite a lot of detail, but cardio is great to combat your stress and to just improve your overall health. That's what I think. It got me out of my stress, anxiety and depression, which came from business burnout. So how much cardio were you doing before and how much cardio do you feel you're doing now? And that could be in the form of walking or running, or obviously enjoying all the awesome classes that Leeds Beckett University offer. You could do Zumba or body pump or club dance classics. There's always options to do cardio in these trying times. But where do you feel you were before and now, right now? Okay, so strength is actually section 10. It's so important, I think, just to gain strength in your body. It just makes life easy. If you've got kids, you can pick them up if you're, with ease. And if you're working hours on end on a computer, it just alleviates your back and neck pain. To really look after your body and improve your strength, improve your posture as well, and reduces your risk of injury. So how much strength work in general were you doing before? And how much are you doing now? I find that I'm doing more strength-based exercises now that I've got more time, and I'm doing it with my little 4-year-old, which is cool, because my lifestyle's completely changed, like all our lifestyles have. So if you're not doing any strength, then obviously you can do a lot of strength work with Leeds Beckett University's classes as well. So yoga and express Pilates, there's ballet fit and total tone. But where were you before and where do you feel you are now? And so 2 more sections to go. The 11th one is balance. So this is close to my heart because balance is really about going inward in yourself. So the sort of term that people use at the moment, if you can't go outside, go inside. And I found meditation when I was going through my darkest days with stress and depression and anxiety, and it got me out. And I again, remember, I got out without using any sort of medicines or tablets or anything. So once you start meditating, it just leads you down, for me anyway, so many different rabbit holes, and I can't praise it enough. I think it's just amazing. But balance is just really a whole section on you, like how much you time do you give to yourself? How much you time were you giving to yourself before the pandemic, and how much you time are you now giving yourself? Maybe it's a plus because now we've got time to slow down and chill out more, and you're reconnecting back, with what you want in your life. So balance covers things like, relaxation, meditations, reading books, and just basically looking after yourself. So that's that section there. And you can do that. Again, there's some awesome classes. You could do body balance, and there's meditations on there, and chakra healing as well if you really want to get into things. So that's balance. And then the last section of your life, if you will, is number 12, and that's good nutrition. So we all know what foods to eat, but when we're stressed, it's definitely an area of your life that you don't always feel motivated to do well at. The popcorn usually comes out, tub of ice cream when you're stressed, and then Netflix, right? So how healthy are you with your foods? I always suggest to try and eat rainbow coloured foods, and or maybe switch your diet up from maybe meat eating to vegetarian, or vegetarian to vegan, or just do a complete overnight change and get your energy levels from there. But you've really got to, as we would know, look after your health by eating the right foods. But have you noticed a difference between where you were with your foods that you're eating to where you are now with the current pandemic? So you've now got well, you should have 20 numbers. You've got your past and your present. And has it surprised you? Has it shocked you? Have you just never really sat down before and realised you've got, quite a few areas in your life that you can look at and improve upon or change? And it's a situation like this where everyone's slowing down or speeding up, depending on, where you are, if your line of work right now. But if you look at your past and you just think, do I really want to go back to my old lifestyle? This is like a really good tool for you to use and see, you know what, in the future, I don't want to be sitting around a number 2 for romance and relationships. I want to improve on that. And there's just so much self-help, especially on YouTube nowadays. You could maybe do that. And I suggest for you right now is to work on in your present wheel of life, your 3 least scoring areas. So just write down underneath your present will, what areas can you actually work on moving forward? If you feel like you can't actually work on anything because of our current situation, that's something for you to then look into in the future. And that gives you the feeling that you've still got some control in your life, because a lot of stress as well is about learning to accept a situation. There's a lot out of our control, right? We have no idea when everything's going to get back to normal. We have no idea if our loved ones will be affected next. It's just a real sort of trying time. But you do have control in so many areas. And I just wanted this workshop to make you aware that you've got so many areas that you can be grateful for, that you can actually work on, and that you can change. So if you are realising that there's quite a few things in your sort of past working lifestyle or life in general that weren't serving you well, then maybe to look forward to in the future and make changes there. So I'm going to go back to the screen now. If there's any hi Sean, how are you? I didn't realise you were on, sorry. If anyone's got any questions, then I'm just going to unmute everyone. But if you haven't, you don't have to have a question at all, but it's just I just hope you found it useful. It's a tool I have used a couple of times in my life. It's always good to, I think, have a bit of a sit down every now and then and just check in with yourself in your life. So, but I do really appreciate everyone tuning in and listening to either the live or the recording. And if you want to catch up anytime, just find me on Facebook under Jen Lillian. But I just hope that everyone is keeping well and safe. And here's to us hopefully bouncing back into a whole new life after the pandemic's finished. So let me just unmute. Okay. Thanks very much for listening, and I will tune off now. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah, cheers.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, do you have any questions, by the way?
No, I just it was really useful. I work with students with mental health conditions, so I thought it would be useful for me and them to learn a bit more.
Fantastic. Do you actually use this tool yourself, or a similar type tool, or?
No, I don't really use anything similar, but I definitely would. So I've taken quite a lot of notes.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, there was a lot to sort of maybe take in, and you probably couldn't see my drawings, but I've actually used it a few times in my life, especially when I was under a lot of stress a few years back with business burnout. And it's such a simple tool, yet you don't realise how loaded it can be, because there's quite a few areas you can have control over and make changes should you wish to. So yeah, I'm glad you found it.
It's kind of what I talk to students about in the sessions when they're quite stressed, but it's nice to have a structure for it.
Yeah.
So I might try something similar with them, because they're very stressed out at the moment, and I'm doing remote video sessions.
Right, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I do wish them all the best of luck. It must be, it's hard to know what you can suggest in terms of accommodating for this massive change that everyone's had to go through, right?
Yeah, it's very hard, but I think, it's just nice to have a bit of face-to-face contact and to just think about why, how it's affected them, and maybe like, like the tool that you've got, it's got some positives in as well, because you can
Right,
see how
okay.
you've connected with family and friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, thanks for
So I think
hopping on. Yeah.
oh, it's all right. I was
Yeah, I don't
doing
want to
foam
keep
rolling,
I don't know. I
so
don't
I
want to
had
keep
to.
you because I know there's a Zumba class straight on at 6. So I think I'm
Oh, I'm
sandwiched in
certainly not a
between.
Zumba person. I'm doing CX works actually.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate
Oh,
you
well, it was
coming
nice
on.
to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, virtually, and hopefully we can get to actually
See
meet
you
each other in
later.
the flesh. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.